Sanders' NFL debut was the highest rating NFL preseason game in the last decade with 2.2 million viewers. Absolutely insane. And when he starts for his first game, you can double and triple that number as well.
The Cleveland Browns just pulled off the impossible. They benched the only reason anyone still cared about their team, Shedeur Sanders. Can you believe that? Ratings are tanking faster than a Browns playoff dream in December, and fans are losing it. Jerseys are burning, season tickets are being dumped online, and some folks are jokingly asking Google how to legally break up with your NFL team. This isn't a football decision, it's a full-blown public meltdown dressed up as strategy. The Browns really thought people would tune in to watch Dillon Gabriel instead of Shedeur Sanders. Dillon Gabriel? That's like swapping a 5-star steak for a leftover gas station burrito and pretending it's gourmet. The audacity is unreal.
Drop. And I just saw this article that shows the impact of Shedeur Sanders, and literally the Cleveland Browns would be idiots to not have this guy on the roster, to not make sure he's a part of the future moving forward. And what I mean is this.
Cleveland tried to convince the world that their new plan made sense, and the world laughed. The moment Shedeur was listed as injured, which everyone knows is code for we can't handle his spotlight, the NFL's ratings didn't just fall, they crashed through the floor. If ratings were a roller coaster, this is the part where the tracks snap mid-loop and the fans are just hanging upside down screaming, "What did you do?" Let's be real, there's only one reason people tune in to Browns games anymore, and it's not to see Kevin Stefanski doing his robotic sideline claps or Myles Garrett spinning in circles like a broken record. It's Shedeur Sanders, the spark that made Cleveland feel relevant again. He's the one packing stadiums, selling jerseys, and pulling casual viewers into a franchise that's been football's version of expired milk for 2 decades straight. Unbelievable. But instead of celebrating the fact that they struck pure gold with Shedeur Sanders, the Browns benched him with the weakest excuse imaginable. An injury. An injury.
Most watched preseason game in a decade, man. That's crazy. NFL Network, 2.2 million viewers. Average audience for Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut versus the Carolina Panthers. Man, it's some crazy numbers right there, man. And just checking out 2.2 million viewers. Wow, most watched preseason game in a decade. And this is check out.
Please? What did he do? Sprain his patience watching that offense collapse without him? Or maybe he pulled a muscle laughing at how bad things look when he's not on the field. Nobody's buying it. What everyone does know is that the NFL's biggest star was left rotting on the sidelines while Dillon Gabriel tried to cosplay as a starting quarterback. Unreal. Now, no shade, but Dillon Gabriel might be a decent quarterback in some alternate timeline. You know, one where people actually care. But here, in reality, he's the backup dancer in a boy band no one remembers. He's the guy moms point to and go, "Oh, that's the short one." He's the extra in a movie who somehow wandered into the spotlight by mistake. And the Browns really believed putting him under center was going to keep fans excited. Good luck with that disaster, because the Shedeur Sanders effect is something the NFL can't fake or replace. When Shedeur plays, it's chaos in the best way. Stadiums packed to the rafters, lights flashing, cameras glued to every move. ESPN runs his highlights like it's breaking news, and social media melts down faster than Elon Musk's Wi-Fi during a live stream. But when he's benched, crickets, total silence. The stands empty out, the crowd disappears, and the cameras can't even find enough fans to pretend there's energy left. The moment Gabriel took over, the ratings nosedived. Networks were panicking.
Okay, that's fine. He's a veteran. I understand that. But Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel should not be above Shedeur Sanders. Absolutely not. Dillon Gabriel has done nothing. Shedeur Sanders already proved himself. This is absolutely ridiculous. The Shedeur Sanders disrespect makes no sense. I'm scared once Deshaun Watson gets cleared, the Browns are going to go with Watson and Shedeur Sanders is going to ride the bench. Someone please trade.
Ad executives calling emergency meetings, and somewhere in a boardroom, Roger Goodell was probably screaming into a pillow, wondering how his cash cow ended up holding a clipboard. Because let's be real, The NFL needs Shedeur Sanders way more than Shedeur Sanders needs the NFL. Think about it for a second. The NFL has survived decades of dull, robotic quarterbacks, but not anymore. In today's TikTok, highlight-hungry world, you need a superstar, not just a signal caller. You need someone who can turn a Sunday game into a cultural event, someone with swagger, style, and showtime energy. And Shedeur Sanders has all that and more. He's the one making people who don't even like football suddenly arguing over QB ratings like they're analysts on ESPN. That's star power. He's dragging the Cleveland Browns, a franchise that's been allergic to relevance since dial-up internet, into primetime conversations. Without him, they're just back to being, well, the Browns. That sad, soul-crushing football team whose most consistent tradition is breaking hearts every season.
Just released their unofficial depth chart heading into week 2, and Shedeur Sanders is still listed at 4. 14 of 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns. What else is he supposed to do? They gave him an opportunity.
It's the Shedeur effect, and it's bigger than football, bigger than hype, and definitely bigger than the Browns, which honestly isn't saying much since everything's bigger than the Browns. This man brings eyeballs, energy, and money everywhere he steps. Remember Colorado? Ratings exploded, merchandise flew off shelves, and suddenly everyone wanted to wear black and gold. Now he's in the NFL, and the same thing's happening. Except Cleveland's too clueless to realize they're sitting on a marketing miracle. They've got gold in their hands and somehow think it's scrap metal. You can't buy that kind of impact no matter how slick your PR team is. You can't fake it with injury excuses or shiny promo videos. Fans know when their star is being benched and they react fast. They flip the channel. You want proof? The Browns game with Gabriel starting pulled in fewer viewers than a late-night golf rerun. America basically said, wake us up when Shedeur's back. Nah, the fans weren't fooled. They took one look at that lineup and said, we're good, and went to bed early. And here's the real punchline. Cleveland actually believed ratings wouldn't drop because fans care about the team. Yeah, right. Fans care about the Browns the same way people care about broccoli. It's fine if you got no other choice, but nobody's craving it. What they care about is Shedeur Sanders, because he's electric, unpredictable, and the only spark that makes Cleveland football worth watching. Without him, this team couldn't sell out a backyard barbecue, let alone an NFL stadium. Benching Shedeur is like firing Beyoncé mid-concert and replacing her with your cousin Chad on karaoke night. Nobody asked for that, nobody wants it, and yet, here we are. And the funniest part? The Browns front office is sitting around acting clueless, pretending they can't figure out why the ratings tanked. They'll pull out charts, PowerPoints, and those fan engagement graphs, nodding like geniuses while completely missing the point. People aren't watching because Shedeur isn't playing. You could plaster that on a 50-foot billboard outside the stadium, and they'd still stare at it like it's a math problem. Meanwhile, over at NFL headquarters, the marketing team is in full panic mode.
Shedeur Sanders moves the needle. Even though he inexplicably continues to be 4th on the Browns QB depth chart, he is certainly not 4th in terms of ratings. Listen to this. Shedeur Sanders' NFL debut this weekend drew 2.2 million viewers. It was the most watched preseason game of the decade on NFL Network. But even more impressively, it was also the #1 program across all of television. That's both cable and broadcast. And if you think it's just viewership, think again. This was a road game for the Browns in Carolina in a stadium that holds over...
They've been grooming Shedeur Sanders as the next face of the league. Young, flashy, magnetic, and carrying that legendary Sanders name. He's the kind of player who gets TikTok fans to turn off their phones and actually watch football for 3 straight hours. Without him, the league loses one of its biggest draws. And no, Dillon Gabriel isn't stepping into that spotlight anytime soon unless he suddenly figures out how to teleport the football straight into his receiver's hands. What a circus. So here we are. The Browns tried to outsmart the Shedeur effect, and it backfired so hard it's practically a case study in self-sabotage. Stadium seats empty, viewership in free fall, and fans chanting, "Start Shedeur," like he's the rock star who stormed off mid-concert. The moment Sanders didn't suit up, the panic hit faster than a kid realizing his science project's due in the morning. Chaos everywhere. Do you even understand how much money was riding on that game? Networks lined up luxury car commercials, sneaker deals, beer ads, and even those bizarre talking animal insurance spots, all built around Shedeur Sanders being on the field. Then suddenly Dillon Gabriel jogs out like it's open mic night, and the sponsors realize they just spent millions advertising to fewer people than a Tuesday soap opera audience. The horror on Madison Avenue must have been priceless. Cleveland didn't just bench their quarterback, they bench pressed their entire economy into the ground. When Shedeur sits, it's not just touchdowns that disappear, it's money. Jersey sales tank, ticket resales flatline, and the stadium concessions.
Shedeur Sanders made the entire National Football League look like a whole bunch of petty fools. In some cases, racist fools. In many cases, Dion despising fools. Tonight at Carolina, Shedeur Sanders made all those teams that had 143 chances to draft him before he went 144th. He shamed all of them, including the Cleveland Browns, who finally took him in.
Let's just say the nacho stands are probably begging people to show up so they can move that cheese before it turns into a science experiment. All because someone in management thought protecting Shedeur from injury mattered more than protecting the ratings. Spoiler alert, it didn't. And the fans, oh, they weren't quiet about it. Social media lit up like Times Square on New Year's Eve. Twitter, X, whatever Elon's calling it this week, was trending with hashtags like hashtag start Shedeur and hashtag bench the Browns. Fans showed up decked out in Shedeur Sanders jerseys, ready to scream his name, only to find out he was riding the bench. The betrayal was next level, like paying for front row seats to a Beyoncé concert, only to find out they replaced her with a karaoke singer from your local Applebee's. You couldn't write a bigger humiliation if you tried. This isn't just about one game. This is about the Cleveland Browns being cursed with a once-in-a-generation player who could have rewritten their entire legacy, and instead of letting him shine, they chose to cut the power.
Baffles me, genuinely. There's so many fans online right now claiming that racism is the reason why this dude is receiving so much hate. And to an extent, 100%, you're right. Unfortunately, it's 2025, but racism is still very much alive and well. But genuine question for you guys. Have you ever stopped, even just for a second?
Classic Cleveland move. If self-sabotage were an Olympic event, the Browns would be breaking records. More gold medals than Michael Phelps. Every time this franchise gets close to greatness, they find a way to trip over their own feet. Bad draft picks, coaching chaos, and a talent curse that just won't quit. Meanwhile, the Shedeur Sanders effect keeps proving it's the real deal. The NFL's finally waking up to the truth. This kid isn't just a quarterback, he's a full-blown ratings magnet. When Shedeur's on the field, people who couldn't tell a field goal from a free throw suddenly become super fans. Grandmas are downloading the ESPN app just to see his highlights. Teenagers who'd rather play Madden than watch actual football are suddenly glued to the screen like it's the Super Bowl every week. That's not normal. That's star power. And the league knows it. They've seen greatness before. Brady, Mahomes, Manning. But Shedeur, he's different. He's not just talented. He's culturally relevant. He's got the swagger, the legacy, and the instant viral spark that turns every throw into a trending clip.
Preseason game. Over 71,000 people were there, and they weren't there to see two bad teams play all their backups. They were all there to see this man. Think about that. That's how much juice Shedeur's got. And then on top of all that, he lived up to the hype and showed out in his debut. That, my friends, is aura. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be a great player. It's way too early to determine that. But what I will tell you is love him or hate him.
He's a new breed of quarterback. Part athlete, part entertainer, part brand. He doesn't just sell tickets, he sells dreams. He's everything the NFL wants to be. Fast, flashy, global, and magnetic. But when he's not playing, the lights dim, the energy vanishes, the league feels boring again. Without Shedeur, football turns back into just football. And let's be honest, half of today's audience didn't even like football until Shedeur made it cool again. Advertisers are freaking out, calling emergency meetings and begging for answers because when Shedeur sits, so does the money. The networks are begging Cleveland to stop being, well, Cleveland. And the fans, they've had enough. The revolt is real. People are threatening to boycott games until Shedeur Sanders is back on that field where he belongs. Others are flooding social media with essays about betrayal, loyalty, and heartbreak, saying they've endured decades of pain and deserve better.
Ever seen a player that has not taken a snap yet in the NFL that needs to be humbled more than this man right here? Apparently, we didn't learn anything from Henry Ruggs because he could have killed 2 people here going 91, 101, and then he just straight up missed his court date, right? He's like, I don't give a shit. Who cares? The puzzle pieces are coming together. It's starting to make sense why somebody is talented.
And honestly, they're absolutely right. Browns fans have suffered through the worst quarterback carousel in football history. Johnny Manziel, Brandon Weeden, and Baker Mayfield's endless commercials. How much more can one fan base take? Here's the truth bomb. The Browns need Shedeur Sanders way more than Shedeur needs the Browns. Without him, they're just another forgettable team collecting losses and excuses. But with him, they're headline material every single week. It's not rocket science, yet somehow Cleveland keeps solving the equation backwards like a kid trying to do algebra with the paper upside down. The Shedeur Sanders effect has become the NFL's most valuable currency, the golden ticket every network and sponsor dreams about. He's the reason primetime slots suddenly make sense with Cleveland in them. He's why sponsors are cutting massive checks, adding extra zeros just to be attached to his name. Without him, the NFL doesn't just lose hype. It loses fans, viewers, and cold, hard cash. And last time anyone checked, money is the only language this league truly speaks. Even rival teams see it. They're sitting back, secretly hoping Cleveland keeps fumbling the bag because the second Shedeur hits free agency, they'll snatch him up faster than a Black Friday shopper grabbing the last flat screen TV. Every general manager in the league already knows what's up. He's the future.
That preseason game is going to get record ratings. I thought the game was at Cleveland, but it's at the Panthers. So no matter what, think about all those people because, hey, Jackson, they got a big crew of folks up there in Charlotte. They're going to be in the house. You're going to have people that's going to call them all over that know Shedeur. So they're going to pack that place. So I think, honestly, Coach Stefanski has been the one that say, hey.
He's not just a franchise quarterback. He's a walking brand, a cultural movement, a ticket-selling machine that reshapes an entire fan base overnight. And yet Cleveland's letting him rot on the sidelines while Dillon Gabriel plays pretend as QB1. So here we are, ratings in free fall, sponsors crying, fans revolting, and the entire league finally realizing one simple fact. One player, one single quarterback holds the keys to the NFL's future. And his name is Shedeur Sanders. And that right there, that's the Shedeur Sanders effect. He's not just a game changer, he's a league changer. The kind of player who doesn't just shift momentum, he shifts culture. Until Cleveland wakes up and realizes what they're sitting on, they'll keep losing, and not just games, but fans, money, and respect. And honestly, could anything be more Cleveland than that? The Browns have the future in their hands, and they're still acting like they don't recognize it. The world's watching, the fans are shouting, and the clock's ticking. Because when you bench greatness, the whole league pays the price. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one, where the drama's just getting started.